On this episode, Pikachu is wondering what's going to happen to rares now that turkeys are being reintroduced. You ask merchant questions and I'll answer them. Hi guys, this is Divine from Merch.com with episode 4 of the Ask Merchant Questions show. I didn't post a November BTS merchant review because there isn't much worth talking about. Over the past half a year, almost all focus has been on rares, so obviously everyone has the same thing on their minds right now. What is going to happen to all rares now that turkeys are being reintroduced? That's the question Pikachu asked me as well. I know everyone has their opinions about this, and I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. So for those that missed it, this was the post from a JMod explaining the decision. She said that they discussed as a team what was appropriate to bring back through this event, and the holly wreath wasn't, for example. More importantly, she can't promise what they will or won't bring back in the future because those decisions are made by people higher up. And that is precisely where the issue is at. The community has been giving backlash about microtransactions promotions for years now, with countless promises made by Jagex that they would cut back, and countless promises broken. The same people making the calls there will likely be the ones deciding which rares get reintroduced and which won't. From a business perspective, there is a lot of money on the table around these kinds of promotions, so they are always going to be tempted by it and keep pushing the boundaries of how much they can piss off the community versus how much reward there is. That's the whole job of the microtransactions team, which I can't imagine being very pleasant. Personally, I think this is Jagex testing the waters with turkeys. They know how sensitive introducing or reintroducing rares is, so starting with such an insignificant one is probably the safest approach. I personally expected them to be too tempted and already add a new black or orange party at years ago, which would have really made people blow up. Seeing turkeys reintroduced now is much better than that at least, but I can imagine if you're someone who's invested in them, you've got to be seriously pissed right now. I do think that expecting this to be the last reintroduction of any rare seems very naive. I see some people saying this will be a one-time thing. I'm 100% sure that's not going to be the case. There's always this need and drive from Jagex to one-up the promotions, and as all of us have pushed rare prices up tremendously over the past years, we're playing into their hands by giving them an excuse to introduce more rares and make them more accessible for all players. It is going to happen eventually, because at some point there will be more players pissed off by rares forever being out of reach and the whole economy being imbalanced than there would be by reintroducing these rares. So if Jagex can profit off that whole situation, it's a complete no-brainer for them, and it's going to happen, that's what I think. Does that mean that we should all panic right now? No, obviously not. The holiday events only come around a few times per year, but you can expect these kind of discussions every time we get holiday events from here on out in the future, I think. It's still a very touchy subject, and I've heard a bunch of people say that they would quit if Jagex reintroduced some of the oldest rares. And while I can imagine that that's very significant, I do think that if the only thing keeping you around the game is whether those handful of items are discontinued or not, then you should probably ask yourself why you're still playing. That doesn't sound like a very healthy situation to me. So let me know your thoughts on the future reintroduction of rares in the comments, and if you have any merchanting questions, feel free to ask them there as well, or send me a PM on merch. Take care everyone, you keep asking questions, and I'll answer them.